Hello, guys. And good day, everyone. It's another day and another discussing from us and learning to you. Today is July 14th. Nice looking day to learn new about the human language system. I am Charleon.
I am Sean.
And I'm Althea, and this is the
Language Paradox,
Paradox.
where we explore the paradoxical nature of human language and the human language acquisition. Catch us every day of the week for more exploration into the realm of language mystery. And for today's topic, are you ready for today's topic? Yes. We are so ready. So it is the debate between the theories of the first language acquisition. And those theories are the social interactionist theory and the critical period hypothesis. So Sean, let's start to explore.
Well, the social interactionist theory is very focused on language that develops primarily from social interaction, and that, it also focuses on the developmental process of language acquisition. It emphasizes the relationship between cognitive development and language acquisition. So, guys, according to the social interactionist theory proposed by Lev Vygotsky, the role of culture in a child's development of cognitive abilities such as reasoning and communication is a part of the important process of language acquisition. He also observed that interaction among children and adults helps to develop language, and that language is developed through social interaction. A supportive and interactive environment enables children to gain, a high level of knowledge that contributes to their ability to learn language independently. And, the zone of proximal development, which is ZPD, it says that adults in society helps children to foster, cognitive development by engaging them in a meaningful and challenging activities, right?
Right, yes, it
Actually,
is. Yes.
yeah, that is right. Actually, to add more of what you've said, Sean, as I delve deeper into this story, the interactionist story, I really came to understand that children can really acquire language through social interactions or engagement with other people around them, like their parents, their caregivers, or even their other family members, as they were exposed to the language. As you have mentioned, through that being exposed, the language are being developed. So we cannot really say that it's just by listening, because they are also actively engaging with other people. So through these engagements that were made, the children who are acquiring the language receive feedback with regards to their usage of words and structures to the person that they're engaging with.
Yes, that's surprising. But before I discuss the challenge that the topics that challenged our views of language and language acquisition, uh, let me discuss first that why is it so surprising that we can learn a language? Now, if you've ever tried to learn a language, you know that it's not easy. There are new rules of grammar which come with many exceptions, new sounds that are hard to make, endless list of vocabulary to commit to memory on, and so on. And yet, we manage to learn the basics of our very first language around the time when we were only 2 years old. So no textbooks in sight, but it is still surprising that we have learned our first language. No. In social interactionist theory, known as a study by Carpenter, Nagel, and Tomasello in 1999 showed that the importance of parent-child social interaction when learning to speak. They studied factors such as joint attentional engagement, gaze and point following gestures, and understanding. The results show a correlation between parent-child social interactions and language skills, suggesting that interaction is important in a child's development of language. Now, despite its popularity and influence, the social interactionist theory is not without its limitations. One of the main criticisms of the theory is that it does not account for the innate and biological aspects of language acquisition, such as the universal grammar proposed by Chomsky and others. So the theory also fails to explain how children can acquire language in situations where there is little or no social interaction or input, such as in cases of deafness, isolation, or abuse. Now, furthermore, the theory does not specify how social interaction and input affect the acquisition of different linguistic domains, such as phonology, morphology, syntax, semantics, and pragmatics. So, um, yeah, that's all.
So I guess how about the critical period hypothesis? Do you mind, Charlon, to explain what is the idealism behind this theory?
Well, about the critical period hypothesis, so I will explain the process of what is happening in a human child when he or she is in their critical period. So the first couple of years are the critical period for language learning, which becomes a much harder task as people age. So children usually say their first words around 10 to 8 months of age and graduate to phrases sometime before they are 2 years old. So in fact, studies have shown that 18 months old can tell the difference between correctly formed verb pairs and incorrect ones. Somewhere between 4 and 7 years old, children begin to be able to tell stories that more or less make sense. So in developmental psychology, the critical period is the maturing stage of a person where their nervous system is primed and sensitive to environmental experiences. So if a person doesn't get the right environmental stimuli during this period, their ability to learn new skills will eventually weaken, affecting many social functions in adult life. So if a child passes through a critical period without learning a language, it will be very unlikely for them to gain native fluency in their first language. So if I can still remember, uh, I conducted a report in my class where I tackled the case of the feral child Jeannie Wiley. And in this case, is so famous because it contributed so much in the study of the critical period. So Jeannie was a victim of domestic abuse and social isolation. This took place from the age of 20 months until 13 years old. So during this period, she didn't speak to anyone and rarely had any interaction with other people. This meant that she wasn't able to develop adequate language skills, and the scientists that worked with her concluded that because she wasn't able to learn a language during the critical period, she wouldn't be able to achieve full competency in language for the rest of her life. So the takeaways from the critical period is it is said to take place in adolescence, typically from 2 years old until puberty. And the brain was at higher level of neuroplasticity during the critical period, which allows new synaptic connections to form.
Oh, so now that you've mentioned it, Charlon, so one thing that I noticed about the similarities of those two theories, interactionist and the critical period hypothesis, is that these two theories emphasizes the importance of optimal conditions for language learning, most especially in early childhood. It
Yes, I
suggests
agree.
how important, yeah, that is right. It shows how important that role in of early childhood in acquiring a language. Another one is that these two both focuses on social interactions, with interactionist focuses mainly on social engagement with others, while the critical period hypothesis focuses on the timing or rather the period, which could also mean that during that period interactions are essential. So, other than similarities, so of course there's also a differences. From what I've from what I've observed, the interactionist theory is a continuous process. A human being can acquire a language from all of the social interactions that they're experiencing. On the other hand, the critical period has a period or a specific window in early childhood that earlier that you've mentioned, wherein learning a language is only effective within that certain period. So another thing that I've observed as well is that these theories emphasizes different views with the interactionist theory emphasizes the role of social engagement and environment of an individual in acquiring the language, while the critical period hypothesis emphasizes the certain period of early childhood in acquiring a language.
Yes,
Yes,
that's
that's right.
true.
Actually, that makes me wonder of how these similarities or differences, enhance or challenge our view of relationship between language and language acquisition. As we all know, the critical period is, the optimal window during childhood when the brain is, very receptive of language. And then in terms of interactionist theory, it doesn't just determined by the biological factors, but also shaped by social interaction and our learning experiences, or maybe linguistic environment. And both theories acknowledge the importance of environmental factors in language acquisition. While the critical period hypothesis, focus on critical period or biological readiness. Interactionist theories emphasize the role of social interaction and also cultural context. And to summarize everything, I think, the enhancements that we could learn from this theories are, understanding the both perspective enriches our comprehension of language acquisition by considering both, biological factors and the dynamic of interplay of social and cultural factors. And this dual perspective allows, more holistic view of how individuals acquire and develop language skills, through development, through their growth. And then in terms of challenges, I think that integrating these two perspectives can also be challenging because they are sometimes, offer very conflicting explanations. For instance, the critical period hypothesis, suggests a limited window for acquiring language, while the interactionist theory proposes, the language acquisition is ongoing and influenced by lifelong interactions. But however, reconciling or connecting these views requires consideration of how our biological readiness interacts with the social and environmental influences over time. And yeah, I think the appreciation of both innate capacities of environmental influences in the language acquisition is very highlight or focus in these two theories.
Yeah, I agree uh with with what we've all said. So with that, are we finished?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think. So it's another day and another learning from our viewers and our listeners, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that is the end of our presentation and our discussion about the first language acquisition of different perspective, and those two perspectives are the social interactionist theory and the critical period hypothesis. So with that, uh, we may thank you, our listeners and our viewers, and also um, the speakers, because this podcast will never happen without, of course, the speakers that will discuss to you what we have learned, and we will share to you what we all have learned. So that's all. Thank you. Catch us every day for for many for many discussions about the mysteries of the human language. That's all. Bye.
Bye.